Hi.
Hello.
So yeah, we thought we'd just hop on here and do a little recap while it was still fresh. The Oscars ended like seconds ago. Did you
Boo,
watch
tomato,
the
tomato, 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 tomato.
You got it. I agree. Tomato, tomato, tomato. I mean, the results, but also the ceremony or whatever broadcast.
I feel differently. I think this is one of the best Oscars I've watched in recent years. It was utterly disappointing.
All right, well, let's talk about the results first and then we can get into the production of the actual broadcast. Yeah, man, I was so shocked. I thought for sure Sinners was going to win. That was
I just straight up and down, I don't think, like I've said before, there's lots of things I like about one battle and another overall as an entire film. And I can see how it could be hard to give someone best director and not best film, but I don't think both of those categories were warranted to one battle. I really don't.
yeah,
Yeah, I think
yeah.
one or the other, sure, I could have lived with, but both of them going to one battle, I'm more sour than I thought I would be over those two losses, to be honest. Because I mean, obviously, the film has won in other categories, and I do think those were deserved. I was obviously super happy about Michael B. Jordan and Autumn, but I really don't. Yeah, I really disagree with both Best Director and Best Film going to thing. I think an argument could be made for Best Director for reasons that you've highlighted before, certainly. But I still think Ryan was more of like a definitely contender, but best film as well.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think it's like I mean, I really did really like One Battle After Another. It was probably my second favorite movie of the year. I thought it was great, but it has some big flaws in it, right? Whereas like I
Yeah.
just feel Sinners is such a like no notes kind of movie. Like it just hits on all cylinders. And it really, there wasn't a bad moment in that movie. And there wasn't a bad storyline or a bad performance. There was really like it was as close to flawless as you can get. And I think, yeah, I mean, you can't say that about One Battle After Another. It had some really fantastic sequences and some really great moments, but and like moments that will like go down in sort of filmmaking history. I do believe that. But yeah, in terms of like what is a best picture and best director, right? Like being able to manage all of it and execute at that level across the board, like from the
Well, this
technical
is what
stuff,
I
creative stuff, like it's there, you can't compare them.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. I truly think I would. This is why I have my reservations about One Battle, because there's so much I enjoyed about it. But I did think that there were some big problems that were obvious
Mhm.
throughout it. Even just like, I mean, just storytelling wise, like some things that just didn't coalesce. Like it's really not a hate on for the film, and I like PTA enough, but I really don't. Both of those categories, I felt it was a real kicker on the way out, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, and there wasn't anything else that I was really, I mean, I obviously was so happy for Michael B. Jordan. I thought that that was probably more of a surprise. I wasn't sure that he was going, like, I didn't think that was a shoe-in as a
Mm,
category, but that was pretty stiff because, like, all that stuff that was going on with Timothy Chalamet, like, he kind of blew
I
his campaign at the end, but then there was also people saying, well, the voting's almost over. Like, it's too late for him to really blow it. And then also just, people love Leonardo DiCaprio so much. And yeah,
I'm
I just
less
wasn't
surprised about the Michael one because I have heard this before, and I think it's happened enough where whoever wins at the SAG or the newly named actor awards is likely to win, and then Amy Madigan did win for her category. The other
right.
reason is because I think like Hollywood, we've talked about this when it was Reese Witherspoon and Joaquin Phoenix, right, doing the campaign tour for Walk the Line. One of them played the game, one didn't, right? Michael B.
Yeah.
Jordan is a good kid, right, in that way, and people have seen him grow up like in things that they've beloved for so long, kind of thing. And I think we do like to, because I would argue that as much as people like Sinners and like, I do think there is some like it's PTA kind of thing, right? PTA is back with the like, and I if I'm understanding correctly, think this was his first year winning, though he's been
Yeah.
nominated before, kind of thing. And so I have seen that and felt that sense of like the kind of long overdue, right? Was this project good enough for us to give you what's long overdue? Because I felt that way about Denzel Washington's win, what he actually won for versus the movie everyone thinks he should have gotten it for.
100%. It's like
Similarly
a
for
career.
Leonardo DiCaprio. Yeah, Leonardo DiCaprio was similar to like what he finally won for versus the number of films other people like people would think would actually warrant it. So when it came to Michael B. Jordan, I did think he had a really good chance. Two, also because of the response at the actor awards. Like you could just feel this like, yeah, I could it felt people really like him. He's an inoffensive character. I really in a different way because he's not as in fashion, but with the same likability, professionalism, and like you can't throw anything at her that she doesn't that Zendaya has. I think Michael B. Jordan also has in the industry too. That reputation, sorry. And so I think for that reason, plus, the performances were such standouts that I wasn't as surprised. Like I thought you had a real chance, but yeah, and Jesse Buckley made sense. Like I think
Mhm.
the way people talked about that film I was rooting for Rose Byrne. I haven't seen that film, but as I think Jesse Buckley's performance in Hamnet to me is probably the standout thing of that movie, but I didn't necessarily love it overall. Whereas, like, just from what I've seen from If I Had Legs, I Could, it seemed like a real departure for Rose Byrne, really interesting, really things. I wasn't sure,
Yeah.
but I did. Jesse Buckley's performance was really good.
It was. I didn't have any problem with her winning. I think the only thing was is that it just felt so predictable. Like everybody had
Yeah,
been saying that she was going to win, so then when she wins, you're like, well, that was kind of like a nothing burger. Like we all sort of
yeah,
expected her to win. Amy
yeah,
Madigan, I was really happy that she won.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, have you seen Weapons?
Mm-mm.
So what was that?
It's a horror movie.
It is, but it's like it's the guy who also did Barbarians, which is like a very strange genre. I
I
don't
ain't
watch
never
horror
watched
movies.
it, and I didn't either.
It's like it's got so much comedy to it, and it like by the time she is revealed in the movie, it really does just make the tone of the movie and the movie just becomes so much more enjoyable. Like, because
Mm,
she's the boogeyman in the closet kind of thing, right? Like she's the thing that you've all
mm-hmm,
been like scared of. And it's just so over the top and so wacky. Like it really like is a performance that kind of takes over the movie. So
mm.
it really I wasn't as mad at that. I thought that that was and, like, I mean, she's been around forever. She's not, like, a beautiful actress. She doesn't really play the game, and the fact that she's married to Ed Harris for, like,
I
years
was
and years,
gonna
I didn't
say Ed
I
Harris
was
also
was
being your plus one, and he looked fantastic. He looked incredible. He looked
yes.
incredible.
Speaking of people like, older guys who looked incredible, I had to look up how old Lionel Richie was. He is 76. Like, when
I
he
believe
came
that.
out, that was crazy.
I believe that because
That
for
was
better or for
wild.
worse, while he looks it's one of those things. It's like when women start doing certain work and they think they look younger, but instead you look good for your age. You don't actually look younger. Because when I
Yeah.
saw him, I thought this looks like a 76-year-old who has had some work done, and
Oh,
so
for sure.
doesn't
Like,
look.
they all kind of become sort of like that asexual kind of like unisex.
Yeah,
The plastic
yeah.
surgery sort of takes over for older people where it's just like, yeah, you just look like, yeah, like you've had work done, but whether you're a man or a woman, it sort of like melds together. But still, I had to hand it to him. Like he spoke and just carried himself. I was like, wow, you are in like
Yes.
really good shape
That
for
I will
somebody who's
say he didn't not to be outdone though by Mr. Rupert Murdoch. I watched that series over the fucking weekend, and this guy at 90 something is like out of sheer spite, I think is just like in the prime of his life.
I started to watch it and I fell asleep, but I'm like, oh, I have to watch this because I absolutely know Sasha's watching it.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, it's great because what's fun is watching like what did Succession collapse into one, what was actually this child versus this child, what was true. And then the best part is when the show then triggers stuff in reality for this real
That was
family, and
hilarious.
that ends up being the last 3 years of their lives all happened because
Yes.
of a Succession episode, essentially,
I thought that
which
was
is
hysterical. I wasn't wait for that part at the beginning where they're like, "And so they're all watching Succession," and they're like, "Wait a minute."
is that not
Changes the
so
course of their
wild?
life. I thought that was hilarious. Okay, but back to this. Okay, I had notes. I wrote notes. Also, Nicole Kidman back to like older people who are not aging well. She looked like Meg Ryan. Like she was getting the
Yeah.
same plastic surgery that Meg Ryan has done. Like they looked I was like, you don't look like yourself. You're starting to get into that like yeah, this plastic
I
surgery.
want Nicole Kidman to talk to, like, I think she needs a black wig stylist, I would argue. The wigs are
Yes.
a real roll of the dice every single time. I did like
Yeah.
this hairstyle on her, but I feel like, you know, she makes too much money for some of the wigs to look how they look, I feel like.
Yeah, yeah. That's fair. And also, I mean, I'm not somebody who thinks that men should be taller than women, but that was like a stark contrast when she came out with Ewan McGregor. She's like
That
a
was
foot
so fun.
taller than
So speaking of, actually, I would say, so my notes were Conan Forever. That guy is really good at hosting and doing the thing and reading the room. I think whoever wrote his monologue, whether it was him or they wrote it for him, kind of thing, high five to you. I think it did a really great job. I think even from a producer standpoint, they did a very good job of reading the fucking room without tipping their hand, without being overly inflammatory or anything like that. I think it touched on the things and reflected, I think, what most of the room wanted, and this acknowledgement of what's happening just outside the doors, kind of thing. I
yes,
mean,
that didn't feel
him,
preachy or like that they
no,
were like
no,
themselves on the back, which sometimes it really does feel like that,
yes.
you
I
know, that
remember
it's like,
two bits from his speech was one that they're the Titan security and nodding that it was, and then the joke of it being about the ballet and the thing because of they're worried about those attacks, obviously. But even better was that, like, yeah, there's things might get political tonight, but if that makes you uncomfortable, Kid Rock is hosting another Oscar show, like, you
that
know what
was
I mean,
good.
kind of thing.
It
Perfect. Like, and then
perfect.
wrapping that up with this reminder that almost made me a little bit teary, to be honest, that like, this idea that like things aren't going well and we know that and we're celebrating tonight because we're optimistic for better days and for this and for that, and that kind of rally was really sweet. And I would say, like, across the board, the other thing I think the show did well, and I don't know, I mean, I don't know fully how these things are programmed, but up until the very end they played the tit for tat between Sinners and One Battle with what was winning what category very well, because he won for adapted, Ryan won for original. They won for score, One Battle won for sound. They won for, there was another category, I think in special effects or something like that, and then they won for like it really was. It did feel like up until the very end, like it could still go either way. I would say I think that balance
Yeah.
was good, and I will shout them out. And I think especially because the actor awards felt slightly cringy in this effort, but 90% of the bits that were happening on stage landed. And I think that's very difficult. Like, I can specifically remember the one with Sigourney Weaver and the Yoda type thing. I know it's not actually Yoda, whatever Yoda's friend. I don't know who
Yeah.
that person is.
Yeah,
But she
Grogu.
called it something else. Yeah, Groku. That one went on like slightly too long, and there was like the
Yeah.
pacing in it was weird. And then
Yeah.
the Nicole Kidman Ewan McGregor one, once the singing started, it was like I didn't fully get what was supposed to happen there. But 90% of
Yeah.
the other ones, the bridesmaid reunion, chef's kiss. They all look
Yeah.
fantastic. That was such a good, yeah, it was really good. The one with
And
Channing
there was
Tatum and what's his name was also very good. Sorry, go ahead.
that I thought that was good too, and I think that's sort of like what I noticed, first of all, just like the set I thought was fantastic. Like it felt
Mm-hmm.
very bright and it didn't feel like super, it wasn't like gold and, I don't know if that's because Trump is
Yeah.
just like gold, gold, gold. Like it just felt a little more organic and just like a little more casual. Like it
Yeah,
didn't
it felt
feel
like
missed. And then
it
there
felt
was
like
also,
an industry award show. You're so right. I clocked that too. It felt very not accessible, but it felt like I was in the room at an
yes, less
industry
like a
award
palace.
show. Yeah, 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 yeah. I
Yeah.
agree.
And then I do think it must have been, I mean, it must have been intentional to have like groups of actors on the stage together, sort of
Mhm.
like a real kind of like nod to like the subtext being sort of like unity and like we need to band together and it's not just like we're not just celebrating
Mhm.
one. There was sort of like these undertones of like very interesting ways to make it not seem like, kings and queens on the hill kind of thing, like that there
Mhm.
was just a
Mhm.
more
Mhm.
collective feel to
Mhm.
it. And I thought it was so subtle. So I really loved that.
Mhm.
And I didn't love, some of the camera work I thought was really, really crazy. I just was like,
Yeah, that's fair.
"You need
There
to."
was
I
one
I can't.
time where they cut to a camera and you could quickly tell they were like, no, 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 the
Yes,
other camera, because
exactly,
you felt it
exactly,
like,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, totally, and I think there was more than one of those. I mean, I thought Tiana Taylor in the audience was fantastic. No wonder they kept going back to her because she was just, like, the perfect audience member.
Yeah, she was the Taylor Swift of the night for sure.
She totally
Like her
was. I'm like, we need more than one
enthusiasm.
person in the audience to be this happy for everybody, like genuinely seem to be thrilled to be there and celebratory
Yeah.
and all that. Every time she came on, I was just like, that's the energy. Like she seems like she's really like means it when she was happy for everyone. The memorandum to everyone who's died this year was like, usually that stuff
I
is real, can be a real hit and a miss, right? Because like
no,
this
and it
was like
was
it went on so long and it was so good. I mean, I liked it so much. I mean, it
I
was
loved it. And it was, first of
yeah.
all, Rob Reiner in himself, because I think like, I will say, even in my own life, right? We talk so much about the Scorseses and like, the Spielbergs and these people, but like, I would almost say like how influential his band of movies, and because there isn't like as, Scorsese and gangster movies, and like, as it
Yeah.
says in the, like, as talking about, his movies were so varied, right? Like, just when you loved him for comedy, then he makes Misery, then he makes it, that you don't necessarily always tie them all back to him, but it was a very like beautiful, and Billy Crystal also looked great too. Like, he's aging so well, and it was super moving. And then the way that they like had those breaks for, for better or for worse, some of the like marquee names, right, of the
Yes.
industry, and then Babs coming out to Robert Redford. It was like so beautiful. And reminded me, one of my favorite things of this year, I will say, is the was having the orchestra on the stage, not in the pit down below kind of thing, and a part of it, and the like bum drum thing, and making them really a part of it was really nice. I liked that, and it kept the stage visually interesting at all times too, anytime that thing would rise. Yeah, that in memoriam segment was really, really
Yeah.
beautiful. And then to see all of those people from his career time
Mhm.
come out, and like, and some of them, I'm like, oh yeah, Jerry O'Connell in Standby. Like, how long
Yeah.
some of those things were. It was very, very touching. Very, very touching.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and it just I'm glad that they took the time that they took, like, to do it all for
Hmm.
Diane Keaton and again, yeah, Robert Redford. Like, it was, yeah, super moving. More than I expected it to be, right? I just was like, oh,
Yeah,
by the end, like, I'm wrecked. Like,
yeah, yeah,
it's,
yeah.
so yeah, I thought that was good. Overall, I thought it was okay. I wasn't the camera work on it was bothering me sometimes. I was just like, this feels like too chaotic. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, really love the set. Let me
Yeah,
just
I
check
thought they
my
were well produced. They were really thing. I will say Rose Byrne was my favorite dress of the night. I thought it fit her the best, and it looked like, at least from the people who came on stage, a lot of people, I will say this is probably one of the like most well dressed like
yes.
Oscars. Like, there wasn't anyone where it was like oof, or like, I think people really, the Bridesmaids reunion is a perfect example of like, they all looked great, but like in their own kind of style and thing like that. I thought Ed Harris looked really, really good. I also think Leonardo with the mustache, I don't hate it as much as I thought I would. He looked really cute.
I thought he looked great too, and I really don't necessarily think he's good looking. Like,
Yeah,
he's just
he's not my
doesn't
cup
do
of
it for
tea.
me at all.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, you look very handsome tonight. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I think
He really
he's having
did.
the I thought the bridesmaids, yeah, those women all were dressed phenomenally. Jessie Buckley, I thought looked great. I liked the way she looked. I
Yeah,
don't
and in
usually.
this way that I think, like, because her look suited her so much, I don't think
Mm,
a lot of people could have put on the same dress or even the same style, and it would have had the same impact. But I think with her skin color, and she has a great mouth. It's just like, it's a very unique mouth, the way she holds it when she smiles, how she talks, right? And so with the red lip, like, I think it really was just like chef's kiss, but she looked really great as well too. Lots of great outfits, because even Zendaya's like Louis Vuitton
mhm.
brown, like, thing looked really great on her. There was just something about Rose Byrne's dress, because it was close to Anne Hathaway's too, but there was still
Yes.
something like, it's like it was Anne Hathaway's dress, but you removed one layer of the applique or something, and
Yeah.
it felt worthy of the moment. She looked great in it, but she didn't look uncomfortable either. And she just
Yeah.
felt really at home in the
It was
dress in
funny.
a way that,
I noticed that too, that those dresses were similar, and I'm like, oh, this is, all it takes is two. Like, that's gonna be the style. You're just gonna see that everywhere.
yeah,
Kirsten Dunst and Jesse Plemons, I thought that they looked great, but they are such a funny couple.
I
Just like,
love
as
them.
they're just so like, we're here, we dressed up, we look really great. We're gonna smile
Yeah.
politely, but we're
Yeah.
just two really great actors that just never get on.
No, I love them so much. Like I fully believe like they might go to a party or not. Like they're gonna go home and
Yeah,
she's gonna load the dishwasher. Like I
yeah,
believe it about them as
yeah.
a couple. I still say justice for Jesse Plemons. I honestly think Jesse Plemons warranted a nomination more than Emma Stone did. And not because Emma was bad or anything like that. Like I do think Begonia was a great movie. I think if Begonia came out at a slightly different time, it would have been appreciated a little bit more because it was a
I
really good movie and delivered really well. But I think maybe we're just too used to some of Yorgos's, how he sets up a world and that kind of thing. Because I don't get why there's not more love for it. Not even at the award show, just in general conversation. Maybe it's just people just didn't actually get out to see it or something. But
I think
it's
because it feels like so close to the last 2 movies that it feels like a bit of a run and, like, Pretty Things was it called Pretty Things?
poor things.
Poor Things? Like, Poor Things got the love, and so I think the movies are too close together. I think if
But
they
they're
were
so
spread out.
like stylistically within his canon, they're still quite different. I mean, if we're still
Yeah,
giving James Cameron anything for anything or Christopher Nolan anything for anything, then like
yeah,
Yorgos just as readily for what I think. And again, not even because Emma, but Jesse Plemons and that character is just so good, and it's
mhm,
as timely and topical as some of the other movies that are in contention. But I
yeah.
think, yeah.
Yeah, that was definitely one of my favorite performances of the year too. I think it was I really like Begonia, like, it was, definitely one of my favorites from last year. I think about that
Me
movie a lot.
too.
It
I
was
really
so
loved
good.
it. Yeah. And I think it was as about revolution and where we're at in time as One Battle or Sinners in terms of like it's about as much about those themes as anything else. And does it in a really plays with it in a really playfully creative and poetic way. I mean the ending is also still so brilliant
Totally.
for that movie too. But yeah. Not a bad Oscars by any means, but a disappointing
Yeah.
finish for sure. And
Yeah.
yeah, but a lot of people really did look great. I love Damson. I loved I like there was nothing that was I didn't see anything that felt ugly to me. I didn't
Mhm.
see anything that felt ugly and I didn't see anything that felt like sometimes you have like the stars are in these like, it's a Galliano and it's this train and it's so thing and then you have
Yeah.
like some of the craftspeople who often are behind the scenes that show up in like their best black dress kind of thing and they look a bit simple, but maybe this is to your point about like the playing field really felt level. A lot of people look like they were all going to the same event. I think that
Yeah.
sometimes what happens, this kind of, the doc winners from the doc short winners come up and it's like, you can tell they just pulled this, right? Or this is the best that their Fitzroy's rental has. And then it's being
Yeah.
handed to them by like someone in like a 15-pound taffeta gown or something. Whereas this just felt
Yeah.
everyone, it really did. I'd be curious to know how much that was pushed and what the choices were to help democratize the event or have it not
Mhm.
feel as it felt like artists celebrating art. It didn't feel
Yeah.
like hobnobbing with the rich and
Yeah.
famous kind of thing, right? There
Exactly.
was like it was like there was almost this feeling of like stars, they're just like us. See, they're emotional when their spouses win too, and they like, kind of
Yeah.
thing, and
It's
that
interesting
kind of
because it
vibe.
felt like, to your point that everybody looked good and it sort of did feel very unified, which I do like. I mean, again, like I was saying earlier, I think the production itself felt unified, but there did seem to be a color palette.
Mm.
There wasn't a lot of dresses that were like all over the place. There was like a lot of muted reds and ruby colored and like sort of
Sometimes there is, I
silver.
forget which award show happened earlier this year, and there was a dress code of black and white kind of thing
Oh, interesting.
for one of them earlier. And I had never heard that before. I had never known that
Yeah.
they did that kind of black and white thing. But you're right. There was like it was like, back to classics, but not classic Hollywood kind of thing.
Yeah, like, I don't know what sort of memo they said of, like, "Here is the theme of the show," and, like, everybody interpreted it the right way, or, like, I mean, I could imagine them saying, "We're going to take a lot of group shots. People are gonna be with each other. Here's the color scheme for the show." I
Mm,
don't know. It just or maybe it
hmm
was just a coincidence, but, like, everybody did kinda go together. Like, it was very
Yeah.
unified. It was a really
Well, I mean,
interesting
also trends happen. I think that's a part
Mhm.
because there were a lot of those like square cut, strapless kind of dresses, kind of thing. You know, one
Yes.
stylist talks to one thing, and they're like, "Oh, what is this person gonna wear?" To the point that
Yeah.
Zendaya's dress kind of stood out because it was so flowy and
Mhm.
so loose and simple, kind of thing. Where
Okay.
everything, a lot of what other people wore had a slight sense of structure to it, kind
Yeah.
of thing. Because I think hers felt like one of the only few that I saw that was like more drapery than anything else.
Yeah, and there's like a lot of silver, but not a lot of gold. The other thing, like it did seem a lot brighter, which it, to me did sort of, I liked it. I thought it felt really like brought up the airiness of the room. It wasn't so like moody and dark and like, again, sort of like
Mm.
elitist. It felt just more almost like daytime, but it wasn't obviously. But
Mhm.
also, like, I wonder if they raised the audio of the audience, but this seems like a very, it seemed like a very rowdy audience. Like, and I don't know if it's
Mm.
see people in the back in a way that they normally can't, like in the upper, you
Oh
know,
yeah, that was funny when the
mm,
documentary short people went crazy and Conan was like, "What was that?" And then Jimmy Kimmel came out. He's like, "You know they're reducing your ticket count next year. They're not gonna invite." Yeah, that was
yes.
yeah, that
But there
was.
was a couple of times when they were announcing, people, instead of lots of clapping, there was, like, lots of hoot and hollering, like, it was, like, the audience, it was I'm like, "Oh, this is a rowdy audience." It felt good. I liked
I
it.
also think there was a difference in I don't know if that's where they always host it or they brought the audience closer to the stage. I feel
Yes,
like
that
in Oscars past, right, it's been quite a journey from where you're sitting to the stage sometimes, but also too they felt further away, so the whole thing felt grander too in this interesting way. It was yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Well, there
Conan
were
is a great host. I felt like I could also shout out to Javier Bardem, you know, who like said explicitly what I think a lot of people were gently stepping around. And also like imagine getting to be that guy and you still go home to like Penelope Cruz. It's insane.
it's true,
But
when you
yeah,
people who are, like,
sorry, what was
couples, they're just so beautiful, and you're like, "Are you all so happy?
I know. That's like
Are
Rose
you
Byrne and Bobby
successful,
Cannavale.
gorgeous, and happy?" What was that?
That's like Rose Byrne and Bobby Cannavale.
Mhm.
You know, anytime I see her. I think this is what endears me to Jesse Plemons and Kristen Dunst.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we're married and we act like normal married people. And like I do love him. He's my guy. And I don't know, there's just something very like they're aware of they seem constantly aware of the artifice of this. And in a way where they're never rejecting it and like rolling their eyes or scoffing at it, but kind of like,
Yeah.
yeah, but I really am here just to work and then go back home.
Yeah. Like, "This is what I do for a living. I'm an actor."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was good, good, good.
Alright. Well, guess that's that,
Till
and,
next year, I suppose.
yep. I mean, I honestly hope that we have as many good movies as, we did
Yeah,
this year. I really did. I'm gonna
yeah,
care about 2.
yeah. Also, I was very
Okay.
happy for K-pop Demon Hunters. That movie deserved its win as well too.
Yeah, totally.
Alrighty, talk to
Alright.
ya.
See you later. Bye.